All right, so we're set. Okay, so the little introduction, Joan Kinnie, our speaker, worked for the federal government in various departments, including the National Archives, Supreme Court of Canada, and Health Canada. During her 30 plus years, her responsibilities began sorting historic photographs and preparing historical documents, and gradually moved on to leading a number of interesting projects, which included the new archives building in Gatineau, renovations of the Supreme Court building, preparing Health Canada's readiness for Y2K, etc. Joan retired in December 2010, and luckily, she learned about Friendship Force a couple of years later. Since joining Friendship Force Ottawa, Joan has been on the board of directors in various capacities. She has had the opportunity to meet many wonderful people in the Ottawa Club and some amazing local and international Friendship Force members. Joan has also had the opportunity to travel with the Friendship Force Ottawa Club to various countries, including Fukuoka, Japan, Taipei, Taiwan, Sydney and Adelaide, Australia, Pécs, Hungary, Surabaya and Malang, Indonesia, Bakersfield and Napa, California. The most wonderful part of the travel has been that locals show us the best and most interesting parts of their country. Today, she's here to talk about Friendship Force International and share with us both her passion and her travel experiences. So, Joan, the floor is yours.
Thank you. And good morning, everyone. Am I on there?
Yes.
Okay, sorry, it's hard to tell on this end. So as you heard, my name is Joan Kinnie, and my husband Leonard and I were looking as we were getting ready to retire for meaningful ways to travel. Luckily, in the late fall of 2013, we were at a seminar that introduced us to Friendship Force. We followed up a couple of months later, and we quickly decided that Friendship Force Ottawa was for us, and we joined in January of 2014. So the time goes quickly, and so it's just over 10 years now that we have been members, and we still love it as much as the first time we went to a meeting. Friendship Force journeys have allowed us to make new friends, to visit new places around the world, to experience more personal encounters with locals, like visiting a high school in Surabaya, Indonesia, and attending 2 weddings in one evening. You'll see a couple of the pictures later. Fukuoka, Japan was our very first Friendship Force journey. We stayed with a gentleman and his partner in his Japanese home in the country, and we slept on Japanese tatami mats. During the journey, we learned about traditional tea ceremony, had a lesson on how to make Japanese noodles. Can I have the picture?
Joan, are you sharing your presentation? Because we
Oh, I
don't see
don't
it
think
right
I
now.
am. Okay, sorry.
Yes. And there's some interference from one of our guests. So, okay, there's one that I found. I'm going to mute you. Okay, I think we'll be okay now. Everybody's muted. Important to stay muted, or else we're not gonna hear properly. Okay. So can you share your presentation, Joan?
Yeah. Is it up yet? Sorry.
No, we don't see it.
Okay, hold on.
You need to share it.
Oh,
Share.
Okay.
Now you're sharing.
okay,
And then play. Yeah.
Okay.
okay.
And now, where did that play go?
Play. Yes. Right there. Perfect. Everybody sees it. Yes.
Okay, good. Sorry about that.
That's all right.
So our first journey was to Fukuoka, Japan. And we started out with a couple of looking around on our own before we met the person that we stayed with. And as I said, we were in a Japanese home in the country, and we slept on tatami mats, something we probably never would have done had we not been there. During the journey, we learned about the traditional tea ceremony, had a lesson on how to make Japanese Japanese noodles. Now, let me see, where's mine?
On the left click to move forward.
Yeah, I am, but it's not moving. Oh, I got it. Okay.
Click it.
This picture just shows us being very anxious because we come together when we're going somewhere, and we are picked up by the people who will be hosting us. And this just shows us being waiting for that. So the Japanese gentleman that we stayed with was he dressed up for us. He showed us a lot around his home, and you can see the mats on the floor that we slept on. We also learned about making the Japanese noodles, and we we had some Japanese treats along the way, and we dressed in Japanese kimonos. And we found out that those of us who tried them, that the Japanese garments were something that we needed assistance on to put them on and to take them off. When we tried on the kimono, we found that breathing and eating were very difficult, as was trying to use the washroom facilities. Now, this is I won't say it's a typical kitchen, but it is a kitchen in the place that we stayed at. And the reason I'm showing you this is because we were asked to make dinner for the gentleman and his partner. And we didn't know what we were going to be doing. It was very difficult to come up with a menu that we were sure we would be able to cook in this kitchen. Ultimately, we did. And this is the size of the stove. The stove didn't even have an oven. So you can imagine the laughter and the fun that we had along the way as we were doing this. It was quite an experience. After we were in Japan, we had the benefit of visiting Taiwan, and we had the same hospitality and friendship and knowledge about our hosts' countries was shared with us. Almost 9 years later, I can tell you that we still stay in touch with our hosts. And that's happened in more than one of our journeys. I'm just going to share a few pictures of some of the places that we went to. This is the Opera House in Sydney. Some of you may already have been there, but we were able to spend 2 weeks with people in 2 different clubs in Australia, and it was absolutely delightful. And we got a very different perspective from the 2 separate hosts that we stayed in. Several of our Friendship Force. Okay, so and then I just put in a couple of Australian wildlife, which I thought was quite neat. Now this is something that we actually visited in at a winery, and it was it was in South Australia, and if you can believe it, this was the bathroom, and it was quite I thought it was quite unique, and not something you see anywhere, but it was something that you bring home too, and you share with other people because it is quite unique. In Australia, we also learned about the Outback Medical Service in Australia, and we had like a whole introduction to it. We also let's see now where I am. Several of our friends also come to visit us, and we make an effort to reciprocate the royal treatment that we've received in past or from them. Actually, our club is now preparing to welcome the Kern County, California Club and the Hungary Club this spring and summer. And actually, the California Club was the one that introduced us to the Mojave Air and Spaceport. And we actually got to see and visit the Virgin Galactic spaceship being built. We weren't able to take pictures of it because it was underway being built. And we managed to see a board filled with people who are waiting to go to space. We also were invited to visit the air control tower at the area there, which was something you don't usually get to do. Let's see now, what did I do? Hold on, why isn't this going out? Okay, another interesting thing in the Mojave Desert is the graveyard. The planes actually stay here when they are not going to be used. And so they use this as well, they called it a graveyard. Some of the planes may be renovated or something and used again. A lot of them were there during the pandemic. Staying in someone's home for a week at a time, combined with the meaningful and unique travel experiences in the company of fellow club members, actually help Friendship Force Journey participants better understand our world and discover our shared humanity. And we get to see many wonderful things along the way, as you've already noticed. We did visit some museums, some wineries, and a lot of other things as well. Let me see now. Okay. When we head out on an outbound journey, we are called ambassadors because we are part of the worldwide movement of kitchen table diplomats, whose focus it is to promote good relations between people and build friendships. Meeting different people and learning about what it's like to live in their town or city has the added dimension of being able to experience different points of views and ultimately discover common ground. This picture here with all of the small motorcycles is what you see when you're in Indonesia. Every place you drive, most of the people or a lot of the people have these bikes, and sometimes the whole family is on the bike. And when you get to any kind of a traffic light, there's usually a good 50 to 100 or more people who are on bikes who have gotten up and they're waiting to get through. So it was something that was very interesting for us to see all of that and making us wonder how we would ever cross the street. The other thing that, let's see, if you can consider how amazing it is to be greeted by people, by a parade of people. Hold on, let me go? No. By a parade of richly attired young cadets and musicians accompanied by waving Indonesian high school students and their teachers that are lined up along the road. This overwhelming welcome was bestowed on us because we were Canadians, and here's a couple of pictures, Canadians who took the time to visit their school and to speak to them in English. And we had here's a couple of other groups that did some performances for us. It was unbelievable. And we felt like we were part of a crown area or something from that they were putting on. It was quite amazing. And we had the music area here. Some of these people were maybe not these ones in particular, but they did have some music. They were teaching music to some people who were deaf as well. So it was very interesting. Now, never would I have thought that one of the things we would do, our host family took us to 2 weddings in one evening. And I thought, we can't do that. This picture here is the lineup to get in to the wedding, to give their ideas or to say thank you for inviting them to the wedding. We had the opportunity, we did stand in line for a while, but it was going to be about 2 hours before we would get in. Luckily, our host that we stayed in his home, he had some special contacts, so we didn't have to stand in line for the 2 hours or more. Here is just to give you an idea of a wedding. So first of all, the standing in line. This is the wedding family that apparently stands for the whole night greeting the guests. And then you can see they're greeting them all on the stage of the area where the wedding is. Very different from the weddings that I have attended, that's for sure. So that was one. This second one, we got there after the first one, and so things had wound down a little bit. But this is the group waiting, or the wedding group waiting to greet their guests. And here are just a different picture of that same group. It was very, very interesting. They had food areas divided by, I guess, kind of the high-end people and the ordinary people. It was very, very interesting. I thought I'd put in a couple of pictures of one of the places that we actually went to visit. This is Mount Bromo. It's an area, it took us about 2 hours, I think, to drive to as part of the group. And we ended up going there. We got there kind of in the middle of the night. We were dropped off and we were then moved in some carts to move up farther. And then our last, I think, 2 hours to get up to the hill was, or to the mountain was we walked. And so by the time we were up on the mountain, we had about an hour or two to wait for the sunrise that we could see from up above. So again, a very special treat for us to do, and it might have been, if we had just been going by ourselves, that we may not have done it. So we also have groups that come in to visit Ottawa. And this is a group from Grenada who came, and they brought their national clothing, and we had a dance party as well. This is another group from the United States, and some of you from Ottawa might recognize the area. It's near Almont. This is the picture of the person who started basketball. Just forgotten his name now. But anyways, let's see. That is James Naismith in Almont. So some of you may have been there. Where's mine? And we took, one of the places we took them to as well was Upper Canada Village. So we try to make our guests as comfortable and give them as some new experiences as well. And this, from the picture's perspective, is the end of our journey, one of our journeys anyways. And you can see that the number, it's not always the same number of people who come, but there are definitely some, a great number of people. So I have a few other comments to be making. Traveling with a group of like-minded Friendship Force ambassadors helps to address the challenges well in advance of a journey taking place. We share the burden of identifying all of our various logistical pieces of travel planning, like transportation options, places to visit, things to do, pre and post Friendship Force journeys, and collecting relevant information on the laws and customs of the country being visited. For any of you who have gone on trips by yourself, you know that it takes a lot of time. The fact that we can split that up and discuss about it later helps all of us to be much more ready. And as for the foreign language being spoken by our hosts, regardless of the availability of Wi-Fi and Google Translate, we still find that smiles and hand gestures are surprisingly effective in helping to break down language barriers. When international or domestic Friendship Force clubs visit Canada's capital, members of Friendship Force Ottawa volunteer to help plan one-of-a-kind Canadian and local experiences not typically available to tourists. Through these volunteer experiences, our club members have become tour guides and visitors in their own city. And when I first joined and helped with one of the journeys that we had in Ottawa, I was amazed at how many things I learned about on that first trip. It was quite an experience. Additionally, members get to experience what it's like to be a home, a dinner, or a day host. Opportunities where cultures are shared and lasting friendships are made. Every one of these experiences is tremendously enriching and even at times surprising for both the host and the visiting club members. I can give you a little example. The very first people that my husband and I hosted in our home, they came, we had never done this before. We came within a day. It seemed like we had known them for months. And so that was in, I think, the spring of 2014. And we still do things with them. Last year we met up and spent a couple of days together again. But we Zoom, we get together, call, we know what's going on, which is a lovely thing to happen. And it all happened in 1 week that we felt so close. And On it goes, the Friendship Force connection transcends language and cultural differences and illustrates that there is so much more that unites us than divides us. So that's the end of the presentation. If anybody has any questions or comments.
Good. Okay. Leanne, did you want to go through the chat?
Yes, just a second. Okay, just give you contact details I did. So when you journey to another country, how long do you typically stay?
What we do is generally the journeys are 1 week, but sometimes we can have back-to-back journeys. Like for instance, the very first time we went to Fukuoka, Japan, like I said, we then, as a group, did some of travel on our own, and then we went to Taiwan for a week. And then some of us even went, no, some of us went after on another thing. If we're going far, we generally like to make use of the fact that we've traveled there and we don't want to go just for 1 week. But you only stay in someone's home for 1 week, and then you would move on to someone else.
So there's a question at the beginning was, is it recommended that you join both Friendship Force Ottawa and International? Is it recommended?
Generally you join one club.
Just one
Yes.
club, okay.
And I mean, this is probably Ottawa area, and Outaouais are special because we have the French club and the English club.
Okay. Is this appropriate for single travelers or only couples?
Oh no, it's very, very much good for singles. In fact, we have more singles than couples. It may not be evident here, but there are always a lot less men than there are women. And it's whoever wants to come. And we generally have a number that we aim for depending on where we're going. For instance, this summer we are going to Missoula in Montana, and then to Medicine Hat in Alberta. And so what we do is we talk to the people who will be hosting us, and we say, how many people can you host? And so generally it's around 12 or so. A number of years ago, it might have been 15 or might have been about 15, 18. But now it's, in some cases, people are having a little bit harder time to find people to host. But when you do, it's the 1 week, and sometimes, and whoever's hosting, you'll say, yes, I have 2 bedrooms. I can host a couple and a single. And so and often maybe with 2 females or this sort of thing as well. It just depends. And so then if the host club is somebody who or is a club that says, okay, we can have 15 people, so we will advertise for 15 people. And generally it is first come, first served. Now, when we first joined, we used to have a draw. So it was because there might be 30 people trying to go somewhere, and that. So
Okay.
it just changes like that.
Okay. So they said, how does one join a Friendship Force club? How does?
How do you join? Well, you can.
Yes, okay.
How do you join? You can contact myself or the person from the Outaouais Club. And I think you have my email address and the other email address. You can decide. And our club membership is $65 for a year. So it's a bargain. We do have some meetings several times a year. We try to put on some various other activities as well. So what I like about Friendship Force Ottawa, of course, that's the group that I'm in, is that not only do we just travel together, we do things in Ottawa together. So it expands your friendship base. And that was one of the comments I made when my husband said, "Oh, I don't want to join." And I said, "Yes, you do, because when you get older, your friendship bases change, and it's nice to have new people that you get to know in your area as well." So that's
Thank you. I think you talk about it. How big a group is normally? I think you say something anyway.
Yes,
the
about
group
15,
gets-
18, yeah.
Mm, okay. Does a group make the plans and everyone pay in, or does everyone make their own travel plans based on dates, etc.?
Okay, so the date itself of a journey is set. And then generally we get whoever's coming, we get together and we discuss what we want to do. Do we want to do something before our journey? Do we want to do something after our journey? Let's say there are 2 journeys. We'll say, well, why don't we take potentially, why don't we take do something else in between the journeys? So we could go for a couple of days early. Personally, Leonard and I, we go usually a couple of days early. We stay in a hotel and get, a little bit of a sense, but not always. Then we have the journey, and if there's another journey, we will either, if the group wants to do something, we have in past booked a company to bring us around. That was in Japan. And then we went on to our second journey, which was in Taiwan. But it depends on what the group wants to do. And sometimes people after the journeys will add on something else. And I can tell you, we're planning to go to Ghana in Africa this fall in October. And so we're in the process of deciding what we want to do. And generally we try to do it together because everybody loves travel and they want to make the best of the time when you're in particular areas. So.
Okay. And how are the destinations chosen?
That's a very good question. So there is a Friendship Force International. It's the organization that kind of pulls together all of the different clubs around the world, which there are over 300. Last I looked anyways. And what you do is at a certain time of the year, the Friendship Force International will ask you to identify the areas that you would like, the club, would like to visit. We do in our club, what we do is we canvass our members to see what they would like. And then depending on how many, if there's only one person that wants to do it and 15 that want to do something else, we'll identify the place where 15 want to go. But that's how you do it. And then Friendship Force looks at where you've been before, what you've done, and how many clubs you support or you host. And they come up with their magic numbers or magic places, and they say, these are the areas you can go to this year. But the other benefit is once you're a member of Friendship Force, you can watch to see where other clubs are going, and you can contact them and say, we'd like to go with you if you have any space. And so it opens up the whole world to you, really, as long as there is space. And now as some people are getting older, the spaces are getting, a little more frequent. But you do have that opportunity. And actually, one of our early trips, we had somebody from England who joined us. And it was great. So it gives you another opportunity to visit other places that even your club isn't doing. But as a Friendship Force member, you
Mhm.
you have that ability.
Okay, and to be member, here's a link here, Friendship Force Point organization org. Is it the right link?
Yes, I clicked on it. I think it is for
It
the,
is? Okay. No, people.
For the Outaouais Club or?
no, it was for the .org, the general, I guess, maybe, I don't know.
Well, that might be the general one. Or
Okay.
So
the-
if you want to be member, you can click on this link. Is it?
I would, if somebody's interested, I would
Yeah.
suggest you contact either depending on which club they're interested in this area, either the Friendship Force Ottawa Club or the Outaouais Club. And
Well, we can include Leanne the emails in the follow-up email, right?
yes.
Of both the
Yeah.
Ottawa and the Outaouais, so
Yeah,
therefore,
because I think people are asking, we
Right.
will ask for the
Right.
links. Because
Yeah.
okay. What's the
I have one here. Can I read this one?
yeah, go, go.
Are travelers required to reciprocate hosting?
Hosting, night hosting is, there are a number of different jobs, okay? When people come. One is to provide a place to sleep, and that's called night hosting. There's day hosting that some people have a small place or they're in with sharing a place where they live or something and they don't feel that they can do a night host, but they can help the night host take some of the ambassadors, as they call the members. They can spend a day with them, or they can join in some of the other activities and help out that way. So there are a number of ways that you can help out. You don't have to be somebody who is hosting at night, but at certain points, if everybody said no, then it would be hard for us to have an inbound journey.
Mhm.
And so, does that answer the question?
Yes, I would think
I
so.
think so. The other one, how far in advance are the trips planned, and how many outbound and inbound trips per year?
We generally have had 2 or 3 inbounds a year. That is changing a little bit because of the situations in some of the countries. I'll give you an example. Last year, we had now I'm going to forget which club it was, but it was in the Egypt area or something. They could not get their visas to come to Canada quick enough. And the same thing happened to Peru. So and now for those of you who do travel, you may be aware of that. A lot of the countries are now having visas or expecting that you will have a visa to go to their country. And so you have to be on top of it in terms of how long does it take to get that visa, because that is one thing that can be difficult. The other thing can be now the political situation. So what I say now might be changing in terms of that. But before, like we went to, 2 years ago, we went to Indonesia, and we needed to get a visa to get into Singapore. We went to Singapore first. Then we went to 2 places, 2 different clubs, Friendship Force clubs in Indonesia. And then after that, we went to the cultural part of Bali for a week. So we needed to get 2 visas, one for Indonesia and one for Singapore. So it just depends, and that's why we have people who are interested in going to try to work. We try to split up the work, and then I'll give you another example. I said we're going to Ghana. Well, we need to get the yellow fever vaccine. we found out, my husband did some of the research, and apparently you can't, you're not supposed to get the vaccine if you're over 60. Now, Leonard and I just got it about 8 months ago because we were on a cruise and we needed it, and nobody told us that. So it's kind of interesting. So the more people can look things up and share with everybody else, the better it is, because you'll have more information. That is one of the really good things. And generally, all of the people we've traveled with, everybody is very interested in participating. They don't sit back and say, oh yeah, I'll wait till everybody just tells me what to do. Everybody is very engaged.
Okay.
And here's a lot of question. If
Yes, a lot of questions.
people can talk, yeah.
Right. We do
They
the
can
guests
ask, for yes, Lynn?
do the guests pay the host for stay in their home?
No, they do not pay the host, and you wouldn't either, but Friendship Force International has asked that they receive, because they are doing a lot of work behind the scenes, and they don't have like a steady stream of money to cover the costs of paying their staff. So for a night, you're asked to pay $25, and that's in US, per night for staying in someone's home, but it does not go to the host themselves.
All
Okay.
right.
I have food allergy.
Wait, go ahead, Leanne.
Okay, sorry. I have food allergy. Would this kind of travel be appropriate for me? Or would hosts find that too daunting? Yeah.
Yes, too daunting, yeah, with the host.
I have some food issues, and I haven't, sometimes I adapt a little bit, but generally what you do before you go is you fill out a form, and it tells you what is your ability to move around, like walking and this sort of stuff. Do you have food allergies? Do you have animal allergies and this sort of stuff? And so what happens is, when the club is looking for someone to host you, they take all of that into consideration. And I haven't had any problems at all. And mine are like gluten and that sort of stuff. And everybody is very, very aware of those things, and they don't, I haven't had any problems, and I haven't heard of anybody who has had problems.
Okay. Does look okay. Lynn, can you I don't know.
Yes,
Yeah, there's so many
yes,
questions.
just a moment.
Our group ever
Unclear from-
organized? Okay, so go ahead, Lynn.
Unclear from previous answer, does local club arrange travel visas for the group?
This is a good question.
So that is a good question, but no, you do that on your own with your club.
Okay,
So
with club, not
So in
Not individual.
Ottawa, let's say Ottawa, we're going to Ghana. So we do the research to see what we have to do. We can talk to the coordinator. The person who is leading the journey in another country, they're called the coordinator. So you can ask the coordinator stuff through the coordinator in Ottawa. And so if you have questions, you can ask, but you can't get a visa for somebody else. You have to go yourself, or a vaccine or this sort of thing. But that's why everybody kind of works together. So now with Zoom, it's pretty easy. We can have a meeting, and people don't have to worry about driving at night in the winter or this sort of thing. But so
Okay.
Okay, are groups ever organized according to mobility required?
I would say sometimes, depending on the journey. Like there are some journeys that people put together that are you know, you're cycling or you're doing a lot of walking or this sort of stuff. So once you know that, you would probably say, no, I won't go. But if you have some problems, and we have had people in a, you know, visit sometimes who have had issues. Now, it hasn't always worked out. I know that there was one lady who came with, I think it was a broken leg or something. But you have to realize that if you're getting older, so are your hosts getting a little older. So you can't expect that a host here, like let's just use me. If somebody came with and they had a wheelchair, well, I probably can't lift the wheelchair out of the car. So you have to think about those things if you're going to travel. It would be about the same as if you're traveling by yourself. How would you get around?
Joan, can you
Yeah.
explain? Because there's a pairing that happens, right? So there's the ambassadors coming to here, let's say Ottawa, and so you do a jumelage, a pairing of the
Yeah,
people.
yeah,
They
yes.
fill out. So can you explain a little bit about that?
Oh,
Because
well, so we're going, we'll use Ghana. We're going to go to Ghana. So each of the people who will be going will have a form to fill out that will ask them, you know, like, what do you do? And this sort of stuff, or what have you done? What are your interests? And what are your food allergies, or do you have any allergies? And do you have any, like, can you bring your suitcase up a flight of stairs, and a few things like that.
Mhm.
And if you say, no, I can't, or whatever, if it's pretty significant, and we don't have anybody who can take the wheelchair out or something, they probably would not be able to go on that journey. But in other cases, you know, you get somewhere, and it's happened to us, we go to pick up our luggage and our host picks our luggage up and brings it wherever, you know, up the stairs or whatever. So, but what we do is when you fill out that form, you're actually trying to get as much information as possible. I mean, so that you are placed with somebody that you will have connections with, and that, you know, you won't have to provide, or so that the host won't have to be doing all of this extra work as well. So just think of, if you're having somebody in your home, would you want to have to cart all of their stuff around? So I think if you think of it that way, then it helps you to say, okay, that maybe that's not for me, or.
Joan, can I ask you to stop sharing your screen, maybe, so we
Oh,
can
sure.
see
Yeah, yeah.
Yes, please.
Yeah.
Okay.
And
Escape.
probably, you know, can we
Escape.
invite people, you know, to ask a question?
Yes.
Yeah, okay.
Individually, because there's another one. I think it will be the last one
Okay,
here.
there's a good one here in the chat, actually. Two
Yeah,
people have the
two.
same
That's the one.
questions
Yes.
about the host. So does the host pay for
Yes.
the meals of the guests?
Partly.
Mhm.
You provide breakfast. Generally you're out during the day, so wherever you're going, and don't forget you're traveling as a group. So you're usually going to the same place. In some cases you pay. Okay, so let me backtrack one thing. One of the things is you're traveling, but you're not traveling for free. If it says, you know, if the group agrees that we're going to go into a couple of museums and you have to pay, well, you pay that, but you pay it ahead of time. I'll give you an example. We went to, I'll say California, and they told us what we were going to do. And I mean, together we kind of came up with our itinerary. And then they said, okay, for instance, this dinner and that dinner, one's going to cost you $15 and one's going to cost you 25. We went to a dancing and this sort of thing. And then lunches will cost, I don't know, $10 or $5 each at the time. So you determine how much it's going to cost for the week, and the actual ambassadors who are coming will pay that. But breakfast, and there's always one day in the week that you spend time generally with your host and you do something special. And so it's unlikely that you're going to be paying for food for that date. But the one other thing that you do to say thank you to your host is you bring them to a restaurant or a treat, whatever they want to do. When we did that in our very first place in Japan, the Japanese gentleman said, "No, we don't want to go for a to the restaurant. We want you to cook here." And that's why I showed the pictures of the kitchen and that. And we were kind of shocked. But so it can change. And so at that time, that's how we did it. We went and got the food and everything and paid and made it. But other times you just go to the restaurant. And generally people are not looking at, oh, let's go to the 5-star plus restaurant that's so expensive. Everybody is very aware, I guess, of, you don't go overboard in terms of, but that's like the thank you.
Joan, is there a place that once we go on the site of the Ottawa, can we see all the upcoming trips, or do you have to be a member to have access to that area of your site where you have this information?
That's a good question, and I'm not sure if I know the whole answer.
Okay.
We do have a website, so Friendship Force Ottawa. We do have.
We put it in the chat, yes, and
Okay,
we will
so
send it after.
that information should be there, but if you're interested and you want to know, I'll be happy to talk to whomever. Send me an email first and we can connect. And there are some other people who will be happy to speak to them as well.
Okay. One question is Friendship Force Canadian or American?
It started out as in the United States. And the person who was, let's see, do I remember his name? I won't remember it right away. Anyways, it was Wayne somebody, and he was friends with Jimmy Carter, and Jimmy Carter and his wife supported this all the way through. And and it started with a few people getting together, and it just grew from there. So
Okay.
it's been since, I think it was in the 60s or 70s that it started, so.
Okay, so we have time for one question. It's 3 minutes, it's going to be noon, so we don't want to go past the time. Anybody else wants to raise their hands for a question?
I'm going to put the link of the Friendships Force Ottawa, okay?
Oh, it's in the chat already.
Oh, yes?
Yes,
Because these Force International and
right,
French.
I've got the Ottawa one. I'll recopy it again in the chat. There it is.
I did actually.
It's not.
Okay, that's
Okay.
not the same.
Oh, and just so people know, it doesn't work on your phone.
Oh, no, I did
okay.
actually. I'm just there.
Oh, are you? Well,
Yeah,
it doesn't
and
work on
no,
my
it's very
phone.
nice. It's very a good represent. Yeah, no, no.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Now, Leanne, if you can, I was trying to find the one for the Ottawa, which I didn't on Google, but we will send it in the email anyway, in the follow-up email. Well, thank you very much. I think that we're going to wrap this up. If you have more questions, again, we sent the email, and somebody said cost sharing details very unclear. Yeah, there's a lot involved, so different scenarios and stuff. So I think that by writing to Joan, you'll get the information in better form. So
Sorry about
okay,
that.
so thank you very much. And Joan, you want to stay with us online, and we'll just say goodbye to everybody. And we have a next video conference, but in French only. It's about Compostelle. So if you know the Compostelle in Europe where you walk for days and days, we have a Compostelle here in the Outaouais. So the next video conference is going to be on that, but it's going to be delivered in French only. So if you wish to attend, we'll have the details in the newsletter coming up in March, first week of March, and you can look it up. So we'll have a presentation on that. Okay, so reminder to fill the questionnaire, the evaluation, and to suggest future conferences if you can. That'd be great. Okay,
Thank you.
goodbye, everybody. Have a
Goodbye.
great day.
Thanks for coming.